Gobierno del Perú.
Si hay algo que nos enseñó el fenómeno del niño costero, es aprender de los errores del pasado para reconstruir el futuro de miles de peruanas y peruanos. Porque 115.000 hogares destruidos, 100.000 damnificados y más de 11.000 millones de soles en pérdidas económicas no podían hacernos perder la esperanza. Así es como nace la Autoridad para la Reconstrucción con Cambios, para restituir la infraestructura dañada, y en ese camino no estamos solos. El Reino Unido, a través del acuerdo de gobierno a gobierno firmado en junio de 2020, nos brinda la asistencia técnica y los conocimientos para poder desarrollar megaobras de infraestructura de una manera ágil y efectiva. Ese será el principal legado que deje en nuestro país. A la fecha, todas las obras de educación y salud cuentan con contratos de obra. En total, hemos firmado 34 contratos que nos permitieron entregar obras como el tan esperado Centro de Salud Limón de Porcuy en Piura y el Colegio San Lorenzo en Lambayeque. Porque por cada hospital inaugurado y colegio mejorado, hay cientos de ciudadanos con fe en un Perú mejor.
Buenos días a todas las
Good
personas.
afternoon, everyone who has joined. My name is Diana Senjo, and I am part of the Communications Office of the ARCC. And today we welcome you to the Roadshow for River Defenses, where we will be presenting projects for the design consultancy of the river defenses of the rivers Metsala and Chancay, and the design management and construction of river defenses of the Rímac River in the regions of Lima and Lambayeque, as part of the interventions of the integrated solutions sector to be executed within the G2G agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. In today's program, we will be opening the event with welcoming remarks from the Ambassador Jaime Castro Sosa Velázquez, General Director of Economic Promotion of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And then we will have welcoming remarks from Mrs. Rosemary Cordova Valdivia, Executive Director of the Authority for Reconstruction with Changes, ARCC. And then Mrs. Kate Flint Director of UKDG, will be presenting on the impact of the G2G agreement, and Ms. Miluska Aurich will provide an extensive presentation of the contracting processes. Then we will give the word to Nestor Fuentes, Director of the Integrated Solutions Sector, who will be providing details of the projects presented today. Also, we invite you to ask your questions in the comments section for this streaming, because in our final segment, we will be replying to them with the aforementioned specialists. This event is being streamed through the Facebook and YouTube accounts of ARCC, both in Spanish and in English. Without further ado, we'll give the floor to the General Director of Economic Promotion of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Jaime Castro Sosa Velázquez. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure for me to offer welcoming remarks in this workshop, in this roadshow organized by the ARCC. Thanks to the joint work that we are carrying out, we have been able to complete several reconstruction processes for the benefit of our fellow citizens, and I would like to highlight that the online workshop will be presenting projects for the reconstruction of the river defenses of the rivers Rímac y Mala, and this is in the framework of the G2G agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. This is an instrument which strengthens the relationship between the countries and drives the reconstruction with standards of sustainability in the regions affected by the coastal El Niño phenomenon in 2017. Amidst local and international challenging economic environment, the activities of ARCC are vital for the reactivation of the economy of our country, which has been hit not only by 2 years of the pandemic, but also for the recent political events. The Peruvian economy has been able to pull through and has grown up to 4.8% in 2022. We have one of the strongest currencies in the country and one of the best inflation rates in the region. All of this thanks to the favorable national legislation, good economic regulations, and a dynamic economy. In 2022, we recovered the pre-pandemic levels in terms of the economy and as shown by the ratings by Standard & Poor's and Moody's in an adverse sanitary and economic context. I would like to express my recognition to ARCC. Thanks to their work, we have the presence of several people and companies interested in the project, to which we are grateful. I reaffirm the commitment of the Foreign Affairs Office in reactivating the economy of our country so that this translates in benefits for the people in these challenging scenarios that we are facing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador. We will continue with the welcoming remarks and presentations of the Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes by the Executive Director of the ARCC, Mrs. Rosemary Cornejo Valdivia. Good morning, everyone. I am Rosemary Cornejo Valdivia, Executive Director of the ARCC. I would like to welcome you all who have joined us today. This is the 15th version of the Roadshow, which we are carrying out and streaming live for you. As a result from the previous versions, we have signed 34 contracts corresponding to 134 interventions, which are currently being executed. The total investment is of more than 14,178 million soles, investment which will have an impact on the lives of millions of Peruvians in 9 regions of Peru, like Lima, Ica, Huancavelica, Lambayeque, La Libertad, Cajamarca, Ancash, Piura, and Tumbes. In this version for this roadshow, we will be presenting mega projects for the design of the river defenses of the Mala River in the Lima region and the Chancay River in the Lambayeque region, and the design and reconstruction of river defenses of the Rímac River in the Lima region. I would like to take the opportunity to invite you all to follow us in our social media in our website, because it features information of interest for people and companies interested in participating in these projects. Thank you for your participation, and you are invited to express your interest in these processes. Thank you, Madam Director. Now we will start with the presentations, which will explain the business opportunities within the framework of the G2G agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. We will have now Mrs. Kate Flint presenting on the impact of the G2G agreement with the United Kingdom.
Thank you for participating in this important event. I have great pleasure to say a few words regarding the support of the United Kingdom to the ARCC. My name is Kate Flint, and I'm the Program Director of the UKDT. My background and experience is delivery of major infrastructure programs. I've worked on high-speed rail projects, nuclear power plants, and the Olympic Games. And then in November 2017, I had the pleasure of coming to Peru to support on the design and construction of the infrastructure for the Lima 2019 Pan American Games. I'm very pleased to be here to build on that legacy and to support the ARCC in the procurement of the best contractors and consultants that will be required to deliver the sustainable protection and defences that will save lives and build on regional economies, all executed in a transparent way. Next slide. The UKDT is pleased to support Peru and the ARCC through the implementation of the most ambitious national construction program ever conducted in Peru. We're here to support Peru's vision to implement sustainable and resilient infrastructure in the regions affected by El Niño in 2017 and beyond. The objective is to improve life opportunities as well as increase capacity for Peru to satisfy its future infrastructure needs and reach the greatest internal potential. To achieve this, great collaboration is required, working with communities, local authorities, consultants, suppliers and contractors. We're helping to develop integrated river basin management plans that include multi-sector and multi-purpose infrastructure, sustainable and resilient solutions, adaptability to climate change and extreme events, and environmental and socio-economic benefits. Next slide. The work is being executed under a government-to-government agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. The UKDT is providing strategic and technical advice to support the ARCC in the delivery of the works. Next slide. The UK team provides support to the ARCC in different ways, as well as the establishment of the PMO, or Program Management Office, and a procurement process based on international best practice. The UKDT provides support and advice to the ARCC and their contractor partners, supporting effective decision-making and making sure that the processes required by the PMO and the new forms of contract are well understood. The transfer of knowledge is at the core of everything that we do. Our number one objective is to build the capacity of Peru to deliver the important infrastructure that is needed in this country. Next slide. This collaboration is based on an integrated core team in collaboration with strategic partners that bring capability and depth of knowledge to the program. It's focused on delivering measurable, sustainable and resilient outcomes to leave a positive legacy for the communities affected and Peru as a whole. Next slide. The opportunity that we are talking to you about today is much broader than purely design and construction projects. It is significant in terms of its scale, breadth of responsibilities and the number of people who will benefit from and be impacted by the project. Because of this, it will be essential that high international standards are met in areas such as environmental management, procurement, design management, the management of health and safety, as well as working with local communities. Last slide. What does this mean for you? With the support of the UKDT, the ARCC is achieving transparency, efficiency and consistency, decisions on time and the control of change, improving professional practice and standards with a focus on social results. It is supporting economic reactivation and a shift towards building and growing a legacy together. Thank you for your time. I hope that you enjoy the other presentations. And at the end of the roadshow, I will be available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señora Flint.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Flint. Our next speaker is Mrs. Miluska Auris, who will be presenting on the contracting processes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miluska Auris, and I work with a procurement team from the UKDT. And I will be presenting details on the procurement process we are executing for this next round of procurement activities, including what is expected from you if you expressed interest in our processes. If you have not attended the previous roadshow or have not participated in any of our past or current procurement activities, we understand that this might be unknown for you, so we will try to explain each stage in a detailed way as much as possible. We are going to enter into detail about the procurement process we are planning to execute and our proposed contracting strategy. This is important because you will have limited time to submit documents and responses. So this is an opportunity to have an early understanding of the requirements. For those of you who have attended previous roadshows, part of this material might be familiar. However, make sure to pay attention to understand exactly what we require and how we are planning to contract the tender for this process. We will be covering the procurement program in this roadshow, setting up what we will need from you and by when. Next slide, please. First of all, I think it's very important to establish the general principles which guide our procurement process and the way we interact with the market and the supply chain. These principles are transparency, openness, and equity, and require us to conduct tender processes, to engage with all the companies interested in participating so that they have equal opportunities of success, so that the end result will provide the client the best financial offer and the most suitable company to execute the program. The best financially convenient company does not equal the most suitable company to execute the work. All the companies who can show the best way their previous experience and the ability to conduct the works and the financial soundness will be scored highly in this process. As you will notice, openness, transparency, and equity are present in all of our processes and are the core of what we are trying to achieve. Meeting with this criteria should give you the confidence that your tender submissions will be treated fairly, and if you can show that you are the most suitable party to execute the works, you will be scored and awarded accordingly. In regards to the contracting strategy, we are considering several forms of contract in our decision-making processes, and as many of you probably know already, we decided that the best contract to use is the NEC contract. One key aspect of the NEC contracts is that they offer flexibility in their approach and have a collaborative nature. This flexibility and collaborative nature is perfectly aligned with the principles which I presented in the previous slide in terms of transparency, openness, and equity in order to participate collaboratively with our chosen delivery partners. The set of NEC contracts contains several options which can be used, such as traditional fixed price settings and reimbursable contracts. The NEC options that we are using are option A, the professional service contract for the design contracts, which we are tendering, and option F, the engineering and construction contract for engineering and construction projects. Option A is essentially a fixed price contract, which includes activity schedule, which needs to be quoted at the time of the tender process. The activity schedule is based on the scope information which will provide with invitation to tender. The option F is a form of contract management, where the direct cost of the works will be reimbursed. You will be paid the cost of the subcontract plus the fee that you need to submit as part of your tender submission. We also want to fix the price of certain work packages from you at the time of the tender. We will be including more information about this in the documentation of the invitation to tender. I will be explaining more about the packages in the next slide. The technical details and the scope of these packages will be explained in further detail by the Integrated Solutions Directorate. It is important that you understand our packaging and contracting strategy. You will see that we are acquiring 3 packages in total. All of them are for river defenses, but 2 of them are only for design. R09 Mala and R10 Chancay, and 1 of them is for design and construction, which is the one of R11 Rímac River. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the contracts, the design-only contracts will be acquired using option A, the professional service contract of NEC, whereas the other will be obtained through option F. You need to take into account that there's a single winner rule for the packages R9 and R10 because both are design contracts. Package R 11 is not included in this rule. We have the intention of issuing an MU, a mandatory undertaking document for the 3 packages. So when you have completed your MU, you select the working packages for which you want to be included in the pre-qualification stage. R09 and R10 are design only, and R11 is design and construction. So make sure that when you make your selection, your organization will have the necessary competences for the packages for which they want to be invited to tender. Later, we will be issuing 2 pre-qualification documents, one for R09 and R10, and a separate one for R11. Later, we will be issuing 3 invitations to tender, one for each working package. The contracting processes that we attempt to execute will be carried out in 3 stages. The mandatory undertaking process, which is a pre-qualification stage, including a PQQ, a pre-qualification questionnaire, and an invitation to tender stage. I will be explaining in further detail what is required for each of these stages later on, but this graph explains how we come from a long list of companies interested to a short list from which we get one tender who gets awarded with a contract. So in addition to the companies who have registered with us after previous roadshows, if you want to be considered for this opportunity, first you need to sign in with your information in the ARCC website and provide some simple details to confirm that your organization has the skill and the ability to carry out the works in which you are expressing interest. So we would be excluding from our process the companies that are not suitable for participation. When we get the long list of companies, your data will be registered on our portal award, and you will be receiving a notification via email when the MU is ready for download. When after receiving the long list of companies, your data will be received and recorded on a Word, and you will be notified when the MU is ready to downloadable. Only the ones that go through the PQQ will have the necessary invoice requirements, and we're able to sign declarations such as the anti-bribery declaration or statement and confidentiality agreements. We need you to verify that you have filled this out appropriately. The number of eligible companies to move into the PQQ stage is not limited, and then we move on to the pre-QQ stage for all of the companies who have gone through the MU stage and have been successful. The objective is to reduce this to a short list of companies which will be invited to tender. After our internal evaluation process, you will be told if your organization obtained the score necessary to make it to the short list. The short list is made up by the highest scored participants who presented the PQQ. If you have the intention of having a short list of 7 participants, we will be inviting the tenders who obtained the highest score. All of them will be receiving a notification to let them know whether they have made it to the short list or not. The next stage is the IDT, or invitation to tender. The companies who have gone through the PQQ will be invited to make a tender submission, which will consisting on the submission of several documents, technical component and the commercial component. So this process will allow us to come from an unlimited long list to a limited short list and an eventual winner. So to get into further detail on each stage, as I said before, after expressing your interest on our website, and if you're suitable, we will be entering your data in our procurement portal award, and you will be receiving a notification via email to the email you provided in our website. First, you will be asked to confirm the login details and change your password. And once you have been registered and once the MU is available, you will be notified again to the email you have provided that the MU is available for download. If you have registered before with us, you can review your login details. Otherwise, you only will be receiving a notification once the MU has been activated. The MU is the most simple stage to participate in. What you need to do is to select the packages for which you are interested in participating and confirm that your commercial volume complies with the set out threshold. In the PQQ stage, you will be requested your financial accounts to verify your invoicing statement in the previous stage. If you fail to prove through documentation your previous assertions, then you won't pass. One question that we get asked a lot is about the consortiums. We are not requesting you to form a consortium at the PQQ. The only rule we apply, or with the mandatory undertaking, what we are requesting here is that only the companies that have submitted the MU will be eligible for forming a consortium. So all the companies, even if they have or don't have the intention to participate in a consortium, will need to have submitted an MU. But if you want to send your MU as a consortium, you can do it. But if we receive an MU response as a consortium, this consortium cannot be changed when you submit the PQQ. If you are not certain of which companies will be forming your consortium at this stage, it is best to send individual MU responses to preserve your options as to how to set up consortium. So to move to the PQQ scenario, all of those submissions who have past the MU stage will receive a PQQ. The PQQ answers are essentially designed to prove your capacity and skill to carry out the works for which you desire to be invited. So we look back into your history to make sure that you have done similar works, and we look at your current governance policies and proceedings processes, and we require you to provide evidence of your invoicing thresholds so that only the companies who comply with the thresholds are admitted to the next stage. However, if you are a smaller company which cannot pass the thresholds, you can form a consortium with other companies where we will have into account the combined sales volume for the companies. And so, given the short timeframes that I mentioned, it is possible that you want to start to think of compiling these documents if you want to register your interest. The audited accounts, for that there's only one requirement, which is presenting the audited accounts of the last 3 years. You can also be requested to submit your policies and proceedings, such as your environmental policy, your quality management policy, or your health and safety policy. As I mentioned before, you can select as many packages as you wish, but this will be subject to you complying with certain sales volume thresholds. This will be outlined in the MU documentation when it gets delivered to you. This slide explains the invitation to tender or ITT stage. If you are selected and you make it to the short list in the PQQ stage, you will be notified through the award portal, and then you will be receiving the ITT also through award. Whereas in the PQQ, the questions look backwards or to your history. In the ITT, the questions look forward and are aimed at identifying how would you approach the project in question. The difference of style between the questions in both stages is that in the IDT there's a commercial submission with your commercial offer for us. Under option A, we will be requesting you to complete the pricing schedule and also the activity schedule that I mentioned before. As per the option F of NEC, we will be only requesting your percentage fee applied to the subcontracted works and the price of the fixed priced elements that we'll be requesting at the time of the tender. The key questions will be around your proposed works to be executed and how you will manage the process. Generally, and according to our requirements to award the tender who has made the soundest financial offer, we will have a technical submission and evaluation to make sure that the lowest price will not automatically win the tender, but that we award the tender to the tenderer who offers the best value. The highest score becomes eligible for the award of the contract, and only one tender can win the award, as we said before. Next slide. So how does this look like in terms of the contracting process in which we are working? The register is open, so if you have not registered, I encourage you to do it after this roadshow. However, if you have registered for this type of works, don't register again because we already have your information. We're planning to launch the MU next Monday for the 3 working packages. The register is closed prior to the deadline for your MU. This is followed by the launching of the 2 PQQs and then the 3 IDTs. You have 3 weeks to complete and return your MU, 4 weeks to complete and return your PQQ submission, and 3 weeks for your IDT submissions. I appreciate that you have been presented with lots of information today. As we said, we are presenting an open and collaborative process, and after the MU, we will have informative sessions for the interested parties to review the requirements of the MU, PQQ and IDT submissions. We will be also carrying out similar sessions if you move to the PQQ and IDT stages. We have communication section via a word so that you can communicate with us and ask questions on any aspect of the process that we are executing or about the written documentation that we have issued in the MU, PQQ or IDT stages. In the IDT stages, we carry out confidential one-on-one meetings with each of the tenders pre-selected. If you are pre-selected for this stage, you can talk to us one-on-one about any aspect of the process we will be executing. You can also ask questions of scope and contract if you have them. About the program, it is important to keep in mind that if you are successful in the process, you will have 2 weeks from this notification to execute the contract. Therefore, you have to make sure that all of the paperwork and the signatories of the company or the contract are aligned to meet those deadlines. And finally, and thank you for your patience, I hope that the message has been clear enough in the sense that at each stage of our process, we have the intent of executing an open and transparent process. We want to collaborate constantly with you to make sure that you will be receiving the most up-to-date information at all times. This is done through the message feature, through a word, through informative sessions, whenever possible, and also you are given the option of receiving detailed commentary on your submissions. This will be providing valuable information of possibilities for improvement to improve your options in these or other future possibilities. If you are interested, register your interest in the ARCC website, and then you will be given the MU documentation, and at that time you will be able to ask any question you have via the award portal. We will be reviewing all of the questions as they come up, and we will try to respond as quickly as possible. We would like to encourage the companies, if you think that you don't have enough experience, to form consortiums to be able to deliver the projects. Once the MU is reached, we will be opening a portal to encourage the companies and set up consortiums to get the skills that companies are missing. If you have any issue with our work, we will be uploading user guides in English and in Spanish. So please read them. And if your issues persist, please submit a clarification request through a Word. Or if you have issues to log in on a Word, please communicate with the details outlined in a Word. Thank you very much for your attention. And remember that we are here to help you at any stage of the process. Good luck with your submissions. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Auris. Next, we will have Engineer Nestor Fuertes, Director of Integrated Solutions, to present on the projects. Good morning. My name is Nestor Fuertes. I'm the Director of Integrated Solutions of the ARCC, and I will be presenting the river defenses projects for the rivers Mala, Chancay, and Rímac. The contents of this presentation involves the portfolio of interventions of integrated solutions, the components of the integrated solutions, the approaches we are using in integrated solutions, and the three river defenses of the Mala, Chancay, and Rímac rivers. Two of the rivers, Mala and Rímac, are located in the Lima region, whereas the other, the Chancay River, is located in Lambayeque in the north of Peru. The integrated solution component for the rivers, the approach we are using is an approach which encompasses the integrality of the basins. In this case, we have actions and projects in the lower basin, in the medium basin, and in the higher basin. These projects get organized into components. Component A of river defenses, cross-sectional dikes, dynamical barriers, and drainage improvement are basically structural actions on the lower and medium size of middle size of the basin. Storage is also a structural component to regulate the amount of water which is going to flow through the basin that we are intervening on. And component C is more a component related to the natural infrastructure of the basin, such as deforestation and reforestation and afforestation, terraces, and early warning systems. And this also involves non-structural actions, such as sensitization with the people, working on the marginal fringes, etc. Integrated solutions also include complementary approaches, such as the protection of the rivers, the integration of the urban centers, the integration of the natural and archaeological landscape, and the social and economic sustainability, which will lead us to economic, social, and environmental sustainability in the areas in which we are working. Here we can see the complementary approach for the intervention in the urban areas, adaptable to different scenarios and with connection to the ecologic system of the city. We are going to show now the river defenses project in the Mala River. The objective of this project is to achieve producing units of public goods and services at risk, which access the service of protection against flooding in the districts of Mala, San Antonio, Santa Cruz de Flores, and Calango. And this involves two projects, mainly in the river Mala and in the gullies in the Mala Basin River. As we said, the Mala River is located in the Lima region, and the area of influence encompasses 12 districts. These two projects have been organized in the Mala River, basically in the lower basin, where we attempt to protect the production units, and it gets organized into some main sections in the lower basin mainly. And the other project in the gullies is located in the middle and higher basin of the Mala River, and mainly attempts to protect the gullies areas where the estimated target for both projects 28 kilometers is expected, and cross-sectional dikes in 46 kilometers in 30 gullies. And also we need to observe that there's potential for a landscaping circuit and look at multi-purpose encompassing different aspects to these production units. The amount for this intervention, which encompasses two projects, is 199,044,000 soles. And we need to mention that the budget includes the design and construction stages for these two projects. Then we move on to the river defenses of the Chancay River. The objective is for the people using these production units for goods and services in the districts of this scope of influence located on both margins of the Chancay River may access to adequate protection in light of mass movements and floodings. We are talking about three projects in the Chancay River, in the gullies, in the middle and higher basin, and also protection dikes. The location of the Chancay River is in the north of Peru in the Lambayeque region, but as you can see, it encompasses two regions, the Lambayeque region and the Cajamarca region. The scope of influence is two districts in these two regions. In the Chancay River, we have three projects which are organized first in the Chancay River, in the lower basin mainly, to protect the main production units, agriculture, villages that we have, and then in the middle basin of the Chancay River, and finally dikes which can be cross-sectional or longitudinal in the scope of the basin and which are appropriately defined. The estimated target is to achieve 66 kilometers of rock dikes, retaining dikes of 4 units in the gullies, and 5 kilometers of conveyance channels. Also cross-sectionally looking at landscaping and connecting these to other objectives, and this is why we consider this to be multi-purpose. The investment amount in the Chancay River in the three intervention adds up to a total of 470,023,000 soles, which include the design stage and the construction of the three projects within the framework of Invierte Perú. In terms of the Rímac River defense, the objective is reducing the risk of flooding and fluvial erosion of the production units for public goods and services, and protecting the people located at both margins of the Rímac River. This is basically two projects in the Rímac River and in the gullies of the Rímac River in the middle and higher basin. The Rímac River is located in the Lima region and is the river which crosses the capital city of Lima. We have a scope of influence of 15 districts. Both projects of the Rímac River and the Galleys are defined. The Rímac River project is located in the main course of the Rímac River, from the medium, higher and the lower basin, and the Galleys are different affluents which cause erosion issues in the different gullies and which need to be attended to. The target involves the construction of gabions and dikes in 42 kilometers, concrete walls in 19 kilometers, and cross-sectional dikes in 19 gullies. The potential is the integration with a landscaping process in charge of ProLima, which is at an advanced stage, and also topics related to different purposes, and therefore the multi-purpose nature of this project. The amount for these projects adds up to 1,623 million. This is a very important project for the ARCC, and this encompasses the design and construction stages of both projects within the framework of Invierte Perú. And finally, the overall targets of the projects or objectives of the projects and the reason we are launching this procurement process. For the Mala and Chancay, we want to reach definitive designs. We expect these designs to be of high quality with international standards to obtain solutions proposed by the contractor based on the pre-investment studies which we have approved and their international expertise. We want these projects to be executable during the construction stage within the allocated timeframes. For the Rímac River, we are tendering the design and works execution. We expect them to be of high quality, to be achieved in the allocated timeframes with a solution which, based on the pre-investment studies, can be enhanced by international experience to achieve comprehensive solutions. We are grateful for your attention, and we will be happy with your participation in this process. Thank you, Mr. Fuertes. As we said during this event, the ARCC team has collected the questions that the public has formulated through this streaming on our Facebook and YouTube accounts. First question for Mr. David Kenna. How long do we have to execute the contract after the award?
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you for that question. It's a very good question and very important. So you will have approximately 2 weeks to execute the contract following contract award. That will involve the all necessary bonds and warranties that we need to have in place in order to execute. So the answer is 2
David,
weeks.
I'm listening to myself, so I cannot interpret. Can you say that again, please?
Sure. So you will have approximately 2 weeks to execute the contract. So following the issue of notification letters awarding the contract and to you if you are successful, you will have 2 weeks in order to ensure that you obtain all the necessary bonds and guarantees that we will need you to have in place in order to execute the contract. So you will have 2 weeks from point of contract award to signing the contract.
Primera pregunta para el equipo de soluciones.
First question for the Integrated Solutions team. What information does ARCC have to develop the project? We currently have information that we have been working on at the pre-investment stage. These are viable projects which are available for the companies, for the awarded company. Second question for David Kenna. How can we confirm whether we have been registered as a company in the registration of interest?
Segunda pregunta para el señor David.
Second question for David Kenna. How can we confirm whether we have been registered as a company in the registration of interest?
Sure. So So, as was mentioned in the presentation, if you have not already registered your interest, please do so following this roadshow. There is a link that you can follow in order to register your interest. What happens after that is that we will issue the mandatory undertaking to you. That's the first stage of the procurement process. That will come out on Monday next week. So please look out for that mandatory undertaking coming to you. It will be issued to you through our procurement portal award. So if you have registered your interest and you do not receive a notification from award, then please contact us and we will look at what the problem is. However, if you have registered your interest correctly on the ARCC portal, then there should be no problem. You should receive a notification from award next week and be able to access the mandatory undertaking. An important point to note, however, is that the notifications that we send out from our procurement portal are system-generated emails. So sometimes they drop into people's spam folders or junk folders. So please look out in those folders also for your notifications. However, as I said, if you have registered your interest and following the launch of the mandatory undertaking next week, you don't receive a notification, please contact us and we will ensure that you receive the documentation you need.
Segunda pregunta para el equipo de
Second question for the Integrated Solutions team. The file for the construction of the work will be tendered separately?
Sí, como se señaló en la presentación, los diseños de Mala y Chancay se van a trabajar solo la etapa de diseño. Sin embargo, para lo del río Rímac se va a trabajar tanto el diseño como el expediente técnico.
Sí, para completar un poco la información.
And to expand on the information, in the case of the Mala River, we have two projects where we will be developing the definitive designs. In the case of the project of the Rímac River, this comprises the design and execution of the works of both projects. Third question for Mr. David Kenna. In the PQQ stage, can you send the list of companies who submitted the MEU to form the consortiums?
That's a very interesting question. And so what we are doing is we have opened a what we're calling a matchmaking portal on the ARCC website. So if you are interested in forming a consortium, you need to go into that area of the website and input your details. Tell us the specialities of your company and who you would like to consort with. And having done that, you will then get access to other companies that have done the same. So once you have done that, if you're interested in forming a consortium, because either your company doesn't reach the required turnover threshold that we set out in the mandatory undertaking, or your company hasn't got all the necessary expertise in order to complete the entire scope of the work that we're procuring, then you can go into this area of the website, input your details, and hopefully that will allow you to gain access to other companies who are doing the same thing. And in that way, you have access to all the companies who are participating in the mandatory undertaking process to enable you at point of mandatory undertaking submission, if you wish to form a consortium.
Tercera pregunta para el equipo de solución.
Third question for the Integrated Solutions team. How does the River Defenses project converse with the landscaping process of ProLima? This package is in charge of developing the proposals of ProLima on a profile level.
Es mucho mayor.
In principle, the scope of the ARCC project is much higher for the lower middle and higher basin. But on the level of the municipality of Lima, we're working in the area of the city of Lima mainly. Of course, we need to establish the contacts and the relationships to articulate and coordinate these projects so that there won't be any interference, but rather to develop synergies between the two projects. Fourth question for Mr. David Kenna. May I participate in the tender process if we are a consulting company and not a construction company? If so, what is the procedure?
So yes, you can. Please bear in mind that 2 out of the 3 projects that we are procuring are design-only projects, so they don't involve any construction work. So if you are a designer, obviously, if you meet the required turnover threshold and have the capacity to deliver the work, then you don't need to consort with a construction company because they are design-only contracts. However, for Rímac, which is design and construction, if you are a consultant or design-only organization, then as I mentioned previously, if you want to form a consortium with a construction company in order to be able to deliver the whole of the works, as I mentioned, there is an area on the ARCC website that you can enter your details in order to be able to find suitable partners in order to form a joint venture or consortium with. Okay, can I just add as well, as a supplementary point to the presentation that was given earlier, we're not operating a win-one only rule on these 3 procurements. So if you want to participate in all 3, then subject to you meeting the turnover thresholds and subject to being successful in the PQQ and the ITT stages, then and you score highest in the ITT stage, then you do become eligible to be able to be awarded more than 1 contract. So we're not operating a win-one only rule. I just wanted to clarify that point. Thank you.
Cuarta pregunta para el equipo de soluciones integrales.
What question for the integrated solutions team? The areas of intervention, have there been released by ARCC already? How does the designer or constructor needs to proceed in this case? To develop the definitive studies, at this stage, the area release technical files will be developed. This is part of the technical file, which is going to comprise the design and the execution of the works. All of this includes the technical files for the property release. There's an area specialized in this matter, and this is part of the contract. Fifth question for Mr. David Kenna. If I already registered my interest in a previous project, do I need to register my interest again for this project, or is that no longer necessary?
Thank you for the question. So no, you do not need to re-register again. In fact, I would ask you not to. It causes us technical difficulties if we have the same company registering more than once. So if you have previously registered for river projects, we will have you on our database and you do not need to re-register. If you have previously registered for other types of projects, for example, the healthcare and the education projects that we have previously run, and you haven't previously registered for river defense projects, and yes, you do need to register. However, if you have previously registered for similar types of works that we are procuring here, then you do not need to re-register. But as I said, you should be receiving the mandatory undertaking next week. So if you believe that you have registered and you do not receive a notification from our procurement portal next week, having checked your junk or spam folders, then again, please let us know. It's not too late and we can make sure you get the documentation that you need.
Quinta pregunta para el equipo de soluciones integrales.
Fifth question for the integrated solutions team. A company which gets awarded a design package, can they participate in the construction of the same project?
para el caso de Río Mala y Río
For the case of the Mala River and the Chancay River, at this stage, we are only working with the design stage. There will be another procurement for the physical execution of the works. In the case of Rímac, this comprises the design and the execution. This is a full package. So it will be one company in charge of both stages. One last question for Mr. David Kenna. What happens if in the financial statements we are in negative because of the pandemic or because of lack of payment of a public agency? Can we still be part of a consortium?
So can I just add to the previous response on the question? I believe the question was if you participate in the procurement process for Mala or Chancay as a design company, can you participate in a future procurement process for the construction of those works, even though they will be run as separate procurement processes? Obviously, what I would ask you to do with that specific question is if you please register your interest anyhow. You will get the mandatory undertaking, and then you can raise a clarification to us through the award portal, and we can give you an accurate response to that question. With respect to the financial statements, you don't need to pass any pass-fail questions at mandatory undertaking stage. All we are requiring you to do is to confirm that you have certain turnover levels over a number of years. The pass-fail questions with respect to your financial capacity are asked at the PQQ stage, and we have taken into consideration the fact that I think 2020 was a very difficult year for everyone because of the pandemic. So we have made some allowance for that within the questions that we're asking within the financial statements at PQQ stage. But again, if you have any specific concerns or questions or observations on how to respond to those questions, please register your interest, receive the documentation, and then we can deal with your questions if you have any at that stage through the award portal, and we can send you an accurate response based on the information that you've received.
Última pregunta para el equipo de...
Last question for the Integrated Solutions team. Will there be a launch for the supervision of any of the projects?
Sí, en el esquema de los contratos NEC.
Yes, in the scheme of the NEC contracts, the supervision is quality assurance, and this quality assurance will require the launch of processes for this quality assurance, and it will be done in due course, mainly when we are prior to the start of the works. We remind you that that the website is ready for this contracting process. You can find the website in the comments of this section. In this website, you will find downloadable information of the information featured in this roadshow, as well as the requirements for setting up consortiums. And also, throughout the day, we will be uploading the videos of the presentations of today if you want to watch them again. We would like to announce as well that on Thursday, the 19th of February, we will be providing a Q&A session for all of the companies who have further questions about these procurement processes. This session will be available prior register, which you will find in the website. Thank you to all the people who joined the streaming, all the participants, and the organization who provided support in the dissemination of these events. And we remind you that you can follow us in the social media of the ARCC on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, where we share the progress of the line directorates and the summons to tendering processes and events like the one of today. Thank you very much for joining us, and until next time.
Gobierno del Perú.
Si hay algo que nos enseñó el fenómeno del niño costero, es aprender de los errores del pasado para reconstruir el futuro de miles de peruanas y peruanos. Porque 115.000 hogares destruidos, 100.000 damnificados y más de 11.000 millones de soles en pérdidas económicas no podían hacernos perder la esperanza. Así es como nace la Autoridad para la Reconstrucción con Cambios, para restituir la infraestructura dañada, y en ese camino no estamos solos. El Reino Unido, a través del acuerdo de gobierno a gobierno firmado en junio de 2020, nos brinda la asistencia técnica y los conocimientos para poder desarrollar megaobras de infraestructura de una manera ágil y efectiva. Ese será el principal legado que deje en nuestro país. A la fecha, todas las obras de educación y salud cuentan con contratos de obra. En total, hemos firmado 34 contratos que nos permitieron entregar obras como el tan esperado Centro de Salud Limón de Porcuy en Piura y el Colegio San Lorenzo en Lambayeque. Porque por cada hospital inaugurado y colegio mejorado, hay cientos de ciudadanos con fe en un Perú mejor.